Hello, my friends. Happy Wednesday to you. That's right, it's crazy.
Build a wall, 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 build a wall.
That's right, build the wall, Daisy. That's right, baby. Build the wall. Good girl. All right, now be quiet. Build a wall has become a meme, right? A meme. It's like, I mean, look at this. Welcome to the channel. I'm Jacob Israel, and you just entered into a wacky, wild, crazy ride. It is important to be buckled up for this program because already you don't know what side I of the wall stand on. You don't know, but it's incredibly spiritually significant. So I'm all for building a wall, but today's show, you're gonna find out that that wall, while it's happening in the natural, and we hear about how important it is to build that wall and how, because a lot of drugs are coming in. I mean, like Trump was, you want to talk about getting scared. He was like, let me tell you why we need to build a wall. Let me just give you a couple examples. And he was like,
a young police officer in California was savagely murdered in cold blood by an illegal alien who just came across the border.
and he was like,
California, an Air Force veteran was raped, murdered, and beaten to death with a hammer by an illegal alien with a long criminal history.
and then he was like,
Georgia, an illegal alien was recently charged with murder for killing, beheading, and dismembering his neighbor.
beheaded, and that's like legit what happened.
Maryland MS-13 gang members who arrived in the United States as unaccompanied minors were arrested and charged last year after viciously stabbing and beating a 16-year-old girl.
Bad people, bad things, he said, flow in. A ridiculous amount of drugs, a ridiculous amount of crime, a ridiculous amount of trafficking, human trafficking, and it's horrible and it's terrible. Build the wall, right? There is a character in Scripture named Nehemiah who was known for building this wall. Now, I can't believe that I'm about to talk to you about this, and I'm about to compare this wall with Nehemiah's wall. But this is important. This is spiritually significant. How do I know this, right? Breadcrumbs. How many times do I talk about breadcrumbs? I talk about how, one thing will lead you to another thing, will lead you to another thing, and then it starts lining up, and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, I gotta talk about, Nehemiah's wall needs to be built. It needs to be built, right? And so, much like Nehemiah, who had people against him, so does Trump, who has people against him. I mean, look at these two. This couldn't be a more vivid picture of something spiritually playing out. It couldn't be. The people, a majority of people, want a wall to be built. Now, think about this for a second. How many of you want to feel protected in your heart spiritually? I'm not talking about worrying about someone who's of a different country flooding into the country. I know that that's scary. A lot of us will never really experience that side of things. We won't have those horrible things happen to us, but there are a lot that do, and that needs to end, right? It needs to end. But the wall that people really need to build is the wall around their heart. Nehemiah had a brother named Ezra, okay? Ezra was known for building the temple. So here's the thing, right? You come to the channel all of a sudden and you start seeking more. You start saying things like, teach me the truth no matter what the cost. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. If you're new to the channel, I'm not religious, right? I don't have any crazy religious affiliation. I don't tell you to follow me. In fact, the main goal of me and my channel is to inspire all of you to seek more and to be more, because guess what? You are more. And when you find out who you you are, the truth of who you are, because we're right now, it's kind of like if you're looking at a mirror and it's all smudged, right? It's all smudged. It's like right now, that's the way you're looking at yourself. You kind of have an idea of what you look like. But there's coming a day, all right, that happens actually in the book of Nehemiah, where you start to see and you start to know God and you start to rejoice in the truth. But first, the wall needs to be built for that to happen. Of course, we're talking about spiritual things. We have these spiritually significant names, we have these spiritually significant lives, but yet people have no clue. First, the temple has to be built within. They have to kind of understand that they're more. And then when that happens, guess what has to happen? When you start to come here and you're like, you know what?
I've been listening to Jacob for like 3 years, and like, you know what? Stuff that he says, man, it works. You know, I stopped doing this, and I haven't done like heroin. I stopped heroin.
I don't know why I made someone who was struggling with heroin addiction a surfer dude, right? It's possible. I don't mean to make light of anything, but doesn't do it anymore, right? Wanted to kill myself. Don't want to kill myself anymore. Family falling apart, right? I'm kicked out in the street. I don't have a job. I have nothing. Boom. Guess what? Guess what? Just like you said, back in the house. Family is thriving. I'm living for more. I want to be more. The temple's being built. I've been talking about the temple being built. Ezra built the temple. So that's kind of happening. Guess what else is happening? At the same time that Ezra built the temple, and as we know, that's already in the process, right? Because they just dedicated the altar for the third temple, because it's going to be built, right? Everything that's happened around Jerusalem, all of that, by the way, because Jerusalem is so significant, is also symbolic of what's going on with all of us. So this wall. And Trump, of course, because he wants to build this wall to keep all of the enemies, okay? The enemies out. There's a significance to it.
This is a choice between right and wrong, justice and injustice. This is about whether we fulfill our sacred duty to the American citizens we serve. When I took the oath of office, I swore to protect our country, and that is what I will always do. So help me God. Thank you and good night.
Now, in the story of Nehemiah, what happens is Nehemiah, he looks at the wall of Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem basically means the teaching of peace. It is, the new Jerusalem would be us, would be our heart. So basically, Nehemiah looks at the Jerusalem and notices that, you know, the enemies could come in and it's been plundered and everything's just a waste and everything's corrupted and broken and blah, blah, blah. And Nehemiah's like, I can't. So he prays about it. He wants to know, what can I do? It's kind of like me, right? I'm kind of like, it's like, I look at the world, it's getting a little kooky, right? I'm done. I'm tired of working for Christian television. These guys, they really, you know, they've served their purpose. Everybody went to John the Baptist at one point in time, but now it's time to move on to Christ. In other words, I was a time when religion worked for me, but I realized it's a hypocrisy. And so I've moved on, right? So I continue to seek more. I continue to seek God. And so I come out of that system. And I see that it's corrupt. I see that the walls are broken down. I see that a lot of people are hurting and they're being bought and they're being sold and they're being taken advantage of, just like Nehemiah. So he goes back to the king, right? Now the king would be significant. The king would be like going to God, okay? If you will. Okay, the king, or Christ. Some people say that the Christ is the king. Okay, so Nehemiah comes back to the king. He's the cupbearer. He bears the cup of Christ. Now listen up, guys, because I know I'm a goofy guy who talks out of his butt sometimes. But what I'm sharing right now is incredibly important, incredibly significant, and you probably never heard anybody say it. So pay attention. Pay attention and then share it around, because this wall that's being built, spiritually significant, prophetically significant. And I'm gonna tell you how it's going to be built in a short period of time. So Nehemiah looks at everything and he says, you know what, I gotta rebuild this wall. He's the cupbearer, which means that he bears the cup of the king. And do you remember when Jesus was talking to his disciples and he says, surely you can drink of my cup? The bearer of the king's cup, you get it? Okay, it's like I look at the world and I say, okay, the world's a mess. The world's a mess. Okay, and I look on YouTube and I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, YouTube's a mess. It's like, what do I gotta do? I gotta put it out there. and I got to continue to work at my, low-paying job to pay the bills. I got to sacrifice some. I got to come to you because this is really important because I know where it's going. Because I know that the wall gets built. And I know that after the wall gets built, even though all the enemies that are coming against Nehemiah, as Nancy Pelosi and Schumer and whatever their names are, I mean, look at them. I'm not a Democrat, not a Republican, so I'm not tearing anybody down, but they kind of look like the Muppets. They kind of look like the angry judges, right? And that's kind of like the enemies that Nehemiah had. So he went to the king and he says, you know what? I got to rebuild this wall. The king's like, you're good. I'll give you all the people, all the things, everything that you need. So Nehemiah comes to the land and he notices that a lot of people, a lot of his subscribers, if you will, right? A lot of his citizens, if you will, a lot of the people that are in Jerusalem, the teaching of peace, where the temple's been built, right? They want to know they can be protected from the enemies of God. In other words, they want to know that when, the bills seem to hit you the wrong way, and when you have somebody attacking you and falsely accusing you and all these things, you want a wall. You need a wall to be built so that you're protected, so that you can overcome. And that's the wall that's being built. That's the wall that's significantly and prophetically being built right now, which is why I'm telling you, I think that this wall in the natural is going to get built. I don't know how it's going to get built. I don't know what's going to come of it, but I think that because I believe that it's not about that wall. It's not about the fact that his name is Trump and the Trump of God is very significant. It's not about Donald Trump being a great president. It's not about him being Cyrus, as he was called by the Sanhedrin. Cyrus being the dude that really wasn't into God, but was kind of, came in and helped Israel out. It's not about me being a Trump supporter. I'll tell you, I'm not. All right. I don't believe that there should be any kind of walls, but I also do know that I got a lock on my door. Right. So I know that there are people that are, but I also believe that I have a wall that is tenfold stronger than any 18 billion trillion dollar wall that can be built for any country. I know that the wall is being built for all of us. We are going to be protected, and that's why it's important. And even though the enemies, as this wall is being built, because this is what you need to pay attention to, because even as this wall is being built right now in your life, people are going to come against you. That's right. They're going to be like the Pelosi's and the Schumers of the world and say, you can't build a wall. You can't be God. You're not a good person. Look at you. Didn't you drink too much?
Hey, I saw you. You were on your phone. You were looking at porn. You can't be godly. You can't go to God. How can you pray to God? What are you doing? Hey, you. I know you. You cheat on your taxes. You can't go to God. What are you doing? You think that you can go to God? Who are you kidding?
Hey, you do a lot of drugs, right? You do a lot of drugs. You're high right now watching me. What are you doing? You can't go to God. What do you mean? Just because I say teach you the truth, you can't ask that question.
We're going to have these enemies. We're going to have these people come against us. We're going to have these people that are going to come and try to keep us from building that wall. That wall, right? So in the world, the wall is being built. The enemies of the man, the cupbearer, of the man who wants the wall to be built to keep out pretty horrible things. Now, whether or not that's true, irrelevant. The fact that I'm doing this show is because Marv and John X Army, right? John X, this guy, he's, we get on the phone and we're talking and he says, well, I want to have you on the show, right? And he says, maybe we could talk about the wall. And it was kind of like, it's a touchy subject because you don't know, because people, they've been programmed to just jump at you, hate you if you love Trump, hate you if you love Clinton, whatever. It's like pitting the odds, but I'm not here to do that. We're not here to do that, but we're here to look and to seek the truth and to see more. The wall, right? The wall that's being built, it's only going to help those that are seeking more and living for more and loving. Those that are seeking the truth no matter what the cost. This wall that is being built, I promise. And as the enemies of Trump, Schumer, and as they try this and they try this and the government, how many thousands of people can't pay their bills right now because they can't go to work, right? And all this drama, and it's meant to get everybody to hate. But what about trusting a little bit? What about knowing that we really don't have control? What about saying for a second that perhaps there is something that is much grander than us all, that is in charge, and that everything is unfolding as it will? So go with the flow, you know what I mean? Go with the flow, dude. Just go with it. Walk on the waters of the world when they come. What do you think that meant? The troubles of the world. You walk above them. I'm walking above them. That's why he said to Peter, he's like, what are you doing? Why do you doubt? Peter walked on water for like a second. For like a second. He didn't think he could do it on his own. With faith, all things are possible. This is going to be a fantastic and amazing year. This story of Nehemiah, the fact that Trump right now, which is going down, right now, this wall, spiritually significant. Man. And it's no wonder that John wanted to talk to me about this on the show. And I said, hey, Nehemiah. So it was like one thing that led to another thing. All of these things had to line up in place to get me to then be inspired to come here and talk to you. Can you bear that cup? Can you bear the king's cup? What is the king's cup? The king's cup, you drink what the king is drinking. Can you drink what the king is drinking? I certainly can. As long as you don't let the enemy say you can't build that wall. Because after that wall is built, believe me, Nehemiah ends up there standing in front of everybody and everybody's praising God. And things are good. Life is good. No more opioids and no more this and no more that. Doesn't mean that the world outside of that wall isn't a mess. The dogs outside of the kingdom, right? Don't got to worry about all that. You have to have compassion on those that are hurting and understand that you, my friends, are loved and appreciated and taken care of. And I have to get ready to go to work to my 9 to 5. Well, it's not 9 to 5. What's today? Today's going to be like a 1 to 9 or something like that. Today's a short day, thank God. And I love you guys. Please do subscribe. Please do share it around. Please do tell people, because I think this is an important message. I think that this is an important moment that we're at right now. I think it's a critical juncture, and I wouldn't doubt. Now, I'm not making a prediction because unlike the other religious dudes, right? Like I said, that I was there. I was the head writer of the largest Christian network in the world. How does that happen? How's Jacob, right? In the middle of it all, just like Jacob working for Laban. How do I become the head writer of wrestling, right? Just like Jacob wrestling. The last person I wrestled in the ring was a wrestler named Angel, which is interesting, right? The story is our story, and it's fascinating, and I love it, and I love each and every one of you. So build that wall. Build that wall. But don't ever keep anybody out of your heart. Don't ever keep anybody in need. Don't ever keep anyone on another side. Always welcome that person with loving arms and forgive those that do you the worst. That's the command. Love others as you want to be loved. Forgive those that wrongfully hurt you, persecute you. How hard is that today, right? I don't know. We're going to make a change in this world, people. You're part of the solution. Trust me. Yeah, just keep climbing that ladder. Keep climbing that ladder. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.